Okay, welcome to Self-Publishing with Dale. And if you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe if you're into DIY publishing. Man, I got that all messed up, but that's okay because last week was more of a train wreck. This week, hopefully everything's in check. Hopefully. I went through some things. We probably won't be able to do too many screen share things, but we'll test it out. What I need you guys to do is if you could hear me loud and clear and I'm, not having Bruce Lee lips, tell me, hey, I can hear you fine, everything looks good. I just definitely need to check that over on chat. And it's going to be a little bit of a delay as we get things started up. So just give me a thumbs up. Tell me, hey, in chat, say, I can hear you loud and clear. That's fantastic. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of stare at things and hopefully it'll work out. Everything's okay. Thank you, Yoga Latinos. I appreciate that. Wonderful, wonderful. Last week, I'm not sure if you got to see the spectacular train wreck. Can hear you fine. Excellent. Hopefully, it's not shouting because I've got this high definition microphone. Bear with me. What's happening? Dave Chesson in the room. I can hear you, but there's a little lag. Ow, go figure. Of course, as per usual, we're going to have a little bit of lag. All right, let's give that a shot. Is the lag a little bit off? Is it better? Because last week we were playing around with this and it seemed like we had it in check, but it seems like it's back out again. Just gotta love this live streaming option. Better, worse, better. Okay, am I still Bruce Lee lipping here? Gotta love this. I'm going to see if I can pull up chat here on my phone here, folks. Better? No, it's not quite perfect. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can fix this so it's a little bit better. We had the problems resolved last week. Go figure this week it's going to come rearing its ugly head again. I made the mistake of changing one of the settings in the live feature. So if we can kind of get past this small little hurdle, that will probably make all of our lives a little bit easier. All right. And the live feature. All right, opening up live chat. All right, I get to see my ugly mug down here. I've got it set. Excellent. Dave Chesson, which, by the way, man, Dave, big props to you. I'm going to, spoiler alert, everybody. On Saturday, I plan on every Saturday, I'm going to be putting up reviews of products. And this Saturday, I do have a video about the Kindlepreneur Amazon Marketing Services course. It's 100% free, okay? And I got to tell you, it is dead simple. And I've been doing probably thousands of dollars of ads over the past few months on AMS, and I'm fairly confident in my ability. I learned something in that. So if you are new to Amazon Marketing Services for your Kindle books, I can't express to you enough. Go over to kindlepreneur.com, check it out, and it is just well worth your time. Oh, here I am. BV shows up. By the way, if anybody ever sees me talking to Bionic Vapor here, I usually refer to him as BV. That is actually my brother in real life. Yes, he wears a mask all the time too. Thanks, buddy. Glad to hear it. Yes, Dave, stellar course. Love it. I can tell that you did it through Thinkific. Thinkific is spectacular right now, and you guys are probably going to be the first to know I am currently working on a self-publishing course through Thinkific. And I got to tell you, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful platform. I can't say enough great things about it. But I'm not going to give you guys too much more info in 411 on that stuff. All right, so please feel free to drop any kind of comments as we go along. You guys got questions about Kindle publishing, Create Space paperbacks, ACX audiobook, and of course the aggregate distributors that I talk about so often in my videos like Smashwords, Drafted Digital, Pronoun Publishing. Fire away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to warm us up here. I'm going to get us primed, and we're going to see about, let me tip this over here. Chat doesn't work as nicely as it does over in Twitch, unfortunately. So now I've got to do it this way. I just love seeing myself. I had time to watch the bad book cover video. Awesome, BV. Thank you very much. I thought you wanted me to clap. I was like, I'm like, a little, monkey. You could just tell me what to do here on the video and I'll do it for you guys. All joking aside, all right, so I've had a few questions that came through email, and I want to thank one of my friends overseas. She gave me quite a bit of content to talk about, and here's one of the issues that came up. She had a children's book that she put up. It's a children's picture book. She owns all the rights to it. She put a lot of time, effort, energy. She got, unique artwork put into it. So she did a lot of stuff for her first book, but within 10 minutes of it being put up, it got snatched back down. And the reason is, and let me just go ahead and I will read exactly what Amazon said to her. Now, bear with me here. During a quality assurance review of your catalog, we found that you have published content that is not allowed through our channel. As a result, we're removing your book. The books you have published are intended to be interactive but require additional resources aside from a Kindle device or Kindle application, such as a phone, Mac, or PC. The game or app experience must work entirely inside the Kindle reader without the use of the browser or manual work, such as a copy machine or a screen capture program. And if you have any further questions. Well, long story short, she put in a lead magnet, and unfortunately, putting that lead magnet in there somehow triggered their system to thinking that it was something that it wasn't. Okay, now for those of you that are pretty new to self-publishing, you're going to probably go, oh, it's a lead magnet, Dale. So you've got a book, and within the book, sometimes you'll see, download this free report about ketogenic dieting. We'll say it's one of my books or something like that. And what happens is the person clicks on the link, they go to a landing page to where they enter their email, they get the download, they become part of a subscription list. Well, that little thing, that little incentive, like the ketogenic diet type thing or any other freebie that I offer in exchange for their email, is what's called a lead magnet. Well, she was offering a lead magnet completely on the straight and narrow. And I'll tell you why they got her confused here in just a moment. And thankfully, she was able to clarify it. She got her good name cleared. And thankfully, being a newbie self-publisher, I could see how that was just so frustrating for her to hit that wall. So I'm glad to see that she didn't just wait for an answer for me. She just jumped right into things. So in any event, what happened was this. There are, and believe it or not, you guys can, feel free, open up a tab as I'm talking to you here, whether you're live or you're watching this on the replay. Go into the Amazon store, in the Kindle store specifically. So you go to Amazon.com, click the drop-down category for Kindle store. The problem is, I want you to search up coloring book. Now, a few of you are going to probably go, that's insane. How can you have a coloring book as an ebook? It happens. In fact, there are even some huge hits via Kindle that are coloring books. Yeah, I kid you not. And the rub is this. Person gets the Kindle book and then they get a PDF that they're able to download. So essentially the theory is some people are functioning with it this way, where they're saying pretty much, the Kindle version is to give you a preview of what you can expect in the printed version. In the event you don't want the printed version, here's the PDF. You can download it, print it out. But there are some unsavory individuals out there that are really just looking to game the system. They're putting up coloring books via Kindle, and they're doing it because they want that quick buck. Because everybody knows adult coloring books are huge right now. They're just gigantic. For me, I don't get it. I'm not a fan of coloring, but I mean, that's not to say that there's no merit to it. There are some people that really enjoy it and find it very therapeutic. Great. That's awesome. I like old-fashioned methods of reading a book. But nonetheless, Amazon does not like that practice of providing a coloring book, okay, and, okay, well, you can color it, but it's in a downloadable report. Now, some of you are going to go, well, how are these people getting away with it? So, this is going to lead me into another story. And please, feel free, if you guys have heard of some of these books, drop something here in the comments. I definitely would love to hear from you. It's seeming dead here inside the chat. I'm starting to talk by myself. Any event, what ends up happening is a friend of mine, okay, and we're going to leave him anonymous here. A friend of mine got into publishing nude photography books, okay? Now, we can all, discuss, it's like Mandela, Mandala, something like that, mandala, yeah, where it's got like the really intricate patterns and such. Just into your storytelling. Awesome. Okay, so to the story at hand. But yeah, mandala books are really kind of cool. My wife loves to color, by the way. So that's why I'm not going to completely trash the whole adult coloring book thing. And but in any event, a friend of mine, he got into the nude photography. Believe it or not, there are nude photography books on Amazon. Okay? You can look it up. It's actually a category. But where some people consider it art, others consider it pornography. Now, he skated that line for the first few publications and even managed to slip in a photo where it did show out-and-out sex, okay? And he tried to be coy with me, and I was like, dude, this is sexual content. You can't put that on Amazon. They say that, like, really, like, right away, like, no pornography. And so he's got this sexual stuff. He got his account suspended. With a little bit of coaxing, they said, okay, look, your hand's been smacked. We're blocking this book. You're not going to be able to use this anymore. And I'm going to go down here. We're blocking this book. So, in any event, he moves forward. He decides, okay, from now on, nude photography, it's just going to be tasteful. What's happening, Meko Osai? I'm going to get to you just a second, buddy. Any event, he goes and publishes his nude photo books, and he starts getting hit after hit. He started building a brand, and we're talking he's making hundreds a month on this easily. Now, some of you guys that are veteran self-publishers, you're like hundreds a month. He wasn't really putting up that much, and these were nude photography picture books that were 24 to 36 images. It was running him for the licensing. I think he got it dirt cheap because he bought it in bulk, like about $1 a piece, maybe less than that. Either way, he ends up getting it terminated. Boom! They come in and they're like, we warned you. We told you you're not supposed to do this. You continue to do it. Mind you, he already had all these thousands of page flips through the KDP Select system. He also had purchases of his book. And some reason my chat just ain't keeping up. I'm going to try to just tilt this here, guys. YouTube, get with your stuff, man. You need to pay attention to Twitch and see how they do it. In any event, so they ban him. They completely shut down his account. He sends in numerous emails. He even tried to go over, find other books where there's out-and-out blatant sexual activity and say, they're doing it. They're even a top-ranking book. But why can't I get my tasteful nude photography book in here? They weren't having it. They're like, no, done. We warned you already. And I kind of explained to him, I said to him, I'm like, and I even said when he got banned the first time, like, you may not want to do that. Yet he persisted. He continued to do that. He continued to pump it out. And here's the thing. When they banned it, bye-bye sales. Bye-bye earnings from KDP Select. He's not seeing that. And I don't know how many hundreds he was out. I know that the last that he counted without KDP Select, it was $500 in earnings. And when he approached them about it, they were like, no, you don't get it. That's it. It was almost like, no, you go to jail, don't pass go, don't collect $200, have a nice day. And it even got so bad that his wrongdoing seeped over into his CreateSpace account. Now, mind you, this is prior to KDP paperback, okay? So there was no KDP paperback. There was just CreateSpace. And the issue was the books, the clean books that were associated in his KDP account were tied with his paperback versions over in his CreateSpace account. So CreateSpace went in, cut his account. They literally cut his account. There's another just hundreds of dollars. But for some reason, he pled with them a couple times, And then one day just happened to notice one of his clean books up. And I was like, do you know your account's back open? No, didn't. Went over, opened up his CreateSpace account, was there, and I told him right away, get rid of anything related to your KDP account. Just whitewash it. I need you to get rid of all that stuff so that way you keep it on the up and up. And thankfully, he cleaned up his CreateSpace account that he's able to use this. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this story. This gets even more fun because now he has his entire account whitewashed. He's got to start from scratch in putting up new paperback publications. Mind you, he easily had about another dozen or so stories that were ghostwritten that he was ready to fire off, and he was just sitting on them. Love it. Thank you for the happy face. And in any event, he starts to fire these off, but he's feeling defeated. Because he even did the reach out to Jeff Bezos type thing, which has worked for some people, but it didn't work for him. His Jeff Bezos assistant was like, yeah, we're going to be honoring that banning, and we're going to stick to that. So in any event, he goes ahead and he's just pouting about it. He's not putting it up, and he admittedly self-publishing is just kind of a side thing. It's a side hustle for him. Well, enter pronoun publishing. Okay, if you guys haven't heard anything about pronoun publishing, I really highly recommend that you go back to one of my playlists. I wish I could just do the boing thing that I normally do in the videos and point you guys to a playlist, but I do have a playlist on the Kindle publishing alternative, pronoun publishing. And I can't say enough great things about them. Them and Drafted Digital, those two aggregate publishers are just stellar, wonderful. Pronoun publishing has an option. You ready for this? Amazon. So, this means for those of you out there who've actually had a banned KDP account, whether for good reasons or bad reasons, right reasons or wrong reasons, okay, in this instance, my friend was just, pushed his luck. And unfortunately, as clean as he kept his nude photography, it got his account banned. But nonetheless, this option opened up, and I said, have you tried pronoun publishing? So here's the deal. Pronoun publishing is an aggregate distributor, which means that they're a platform that will send out your publications to different other platforms. And the main ones off the top of my head right now are, of course, Amazon, not Drafted Digital, no, they don't do that, I'm sorry, iBooks, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and the big one, my favorite, Google Play. Now, there are a couple other small little things, but for the most part, those are the ones. So, any event, if you plan on publishing through Pronoun, here's the catch, okay? You have to either A, publish your book through KDP, or B, publish through Pronoun onto Amazon. Either way, you have to be on Amazon. So, he tested his luck. Took one of his books that he had published prior, but was completely clean. Nothing. It wasn't even erotica or I think or romance or anything else like that would get him in hot water. So he goes ahead and he publishes it to Pronoun. We hold our breath, and it gets on Amazon. Here's the funny thing: despite not having KDP Select, within the first month, he told me he was making more money through Pronoun than what he ever did through just on KDP alone. So this just goes to show you that there's sometimes, and it's not just Amazon, by the way. He was getting earnings from the other aggregate things. So he was getting a bigger paycheck through Pronoun publishing alone rather than just going KDP. So there's a lesson to be learned here. And a lot of you guys that are maybe new to this business or even veteran self-publishers is always look at the options that you have available and try to at least test them out. And if you are only pumping out one book per year, then that testing out things may not be your thing. But if you're like me, a self-publisher, where I'm pumping out books on a regular basis, then you need to go at least try the option of Pronoun publishing. And here pretty soon, actually, over the next week or two, I'll be showing you guys the upload process of going to 4 distribution platforms of KDP, Pronoun, Drafted Digital, and Smashwords. I'm going to show you guys how I'm able to do those 4 distribution platforms in a matter of 10 minutes. Literally, I can be able to fire those things off and I'll start to just sit back and just collect the money. And that's with zero marketing whatsoever. Now, there is a little bit of a downside. If you do use pronoun publishing, keep in mind that Amazon KDP, if you've got something on Amazon KDP, you can use Amazon Marketing Services ads. I can't say enough great things about AMS ads. Once again, I did say this early on in the broadcast, Dave Chesson's Kindlepreneur. If you go to kindlepreneur.com, and when this wraps up, I'll make sure to leave a link inside the description. If you go to kindlepreneur.com, though, he's got a 5-day course on Amazon Marketing Services. So if you've got a KDP account and you're publishing through there, you can be able to do that. However, in my friend's case, since he distributes onto Amazon through Pronoun, he doesn't have that luxury. So the same thing goes if you want to run ads on iBooks. Okay, so if you've got a book you're distributing through Smashwords, Drafted Digital, or Pronoun that goes on iBooks, you can't run iBook ads because you have to publish directly through Apple in order to do that. Stay tuned over the next year. I'm sure that's going to be another thing I'll be testing out here pretty soon, is running Apple iBook ads. And if it's anywhere as simple as it is to do Amazon Marketing Service ads, I am just ecstatic. So so that I know that I'm just not the only person here and jib-jabbing, please fire away questions, concerns. What are your thoughts about putting no content style books on Kindle? So in other words, putting in things like coloring books, journals, doing it on Kindle. What are your thoughts? Is it okay, or do you think it's not so good? Let's hear it. I'm seeing a flex. I'm seeing a flex from BV. That's awesome. It's really good to see. I'm just going to go look over here at chat because I can kind of see it here out the corner of my eye. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Hey, hopefully, if anybody is listening, please drop me a line here. Let me know that you guys, my stream status is bad. Good Lord, that sucks. Let me know that you are here. I got a few other questions if for some reason things are drying up, and I'll be wrapping up here pretty soon if for some reason we're not getting any more questions or concerns. I didn't even know they had that. As far as the Amazon Marketing Services ad, Willie described to me. The Facebook group thing. Yes, I was going to be getting to that in just a moment here, BV. So that brings up a great point. Willie, what was it that you weren't aware of? Hopefully I can kind of help you out with that. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Nothing like dead air here, folks. Oh, the coloring books. Yeah, it's insane, right? So what do you think, Willie? I mean, do you think that's on the straight and narrow? Do you think that's cool? Or do you think that's not so good? I have a PDF book. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, see, I'm not too big on it, but there's going to be some people that are going to be proponents of it that really might bring up a good argument about the authenticity of that, about the honesty of putting something like that out. I know I've seen actually some that are perma-free books. They will do a coloring book perma-free, and they'll specifically state within the description that this book is free as an advertisement for the print book. So I think that that's kind of a cool idea. You think it's all right? Cool. Awesome. Very good. Well, if you can get the PDF, then really the author's losing out because the buyer can print it over and over again. That is so true, BV. That is so true. Yeah, I think a lot of times people just assume that when I speak inside the videos that it's gospel. There's a good reason why I always do a call to action where I say, what are your thoughts? I really do honestly like hearing from people, and I don't consider it trolling if you disagree with me. I think that if we are able to have a good conversation through the self-publishing community, all of us can kind of lift each other up and start to learn a little bit more. Or I would print it over and over. That's true. And hey, it is cheaper, and I think that if it builds a person's brand, maybe that's also something to really get behind. I mean, some people probably can look at the fact that, for instance, I've got too many fitness books. Just going to say that right now. I've got a lot of fitness books, and let's just face it, there's only so many ways you can tell a person how to do a push-up, okay? So, I mean, is that wrong? I mean, I'm taking and recycling the push-up over and over in different types of books, be it chest and arms workout or the upper body workout, push-ups being recycled so many darn times. So, and one of the things is the more content that you have out there as far as volume goes, the more noticeable you get. And let's just face it, you really increase your odds of a hit. It didn't take me, including ghost-written books outside of my name, I'd say I probably had about 2 to 3 dozen books printed before I finally had a smash hit. And the funny thing is I never intended it. It was actually an Ultimate Home Workout Plan, and I had bundled my best books from all of my stuff. And see, I had bestsellers, but everybody has a bestseller at some point. And if you haven't printed yet, guess what? You're going to have a bestseller. I can just guarantee if you sell at least 1 or 2 copies and you put yourself in the right category, in the right position, you'll get bestseller. That's not an issue. But the one that really started pulling in some decent cash, some stuff that I can say, that's going to pay my bills, it was an accident. I didn't think anybody would give 2 flying you-know-whats about a compilation book. But here it turned out that people wanted that, and they continue to buy that. A lot of books from Amazon you can find with, oh darn it, I'm cutting off the, there we go. You can find with Google for free. Not so legal, I think, but it is what it is. Yeah, yoga. I tell you, that's really the tough thing. I get a lot of people, they're like, you know, what should I do if my book's being pirated? Move on. Move on. Unless you have a team of lawyers at your disposal and an inner working of all the lawyerings, it's just not worth it, because you're gonna put out one fire and then there's gonna be another fire. I can't tell you how many places I've seen YouTube's got a ton of like the download this book for free. Like it has my green smoothies one, it has my clean eating one, like it has all my nutrition books all pretty much up there, and it slays me. And the funny thing is, I just kind of had to just change my mindset on it. I just said, you know what, it's free advertising. Screw it. I'm like, if somebody's going to go ahead and make money off my name, oh well. But the nice thing is, it still has my name attached to it. So at least they're taking my name and they're using it. As long as they're not going around and, you know, posting things up on my behalf, like putting up, you know, racist comments or, you know, any kind of just derogatory things towards people representing me, I'm okay with that. But, you know, the piracy thing, sometimes you just got to turn the other cheek and just keep pushing forward until you're able to pull in enough money that you can afford a larger team of people that can address these piracy concerns. I would never got it, but I paid for it, but gave the reprint. Sent in the bird law. What's happening there, Brian Schaefer? So, if you guys are just joining me live, once again, please, let's make this interactive. We were just talking a little bit about piracy in books. I'm going to start to segue into another thing that was brought up here, and I put it inside the description. I think it bears worth in visiting, but I would love to hear your questions. I'm going to keep going live as long as you guys keep interacting with me. So as long as you guys are there, I'll keep going. No, okay, Brian, what's happening, dude? That Brian. Okay, yeah, BV, not the rapist Brian, yes. Yes, inside joke here, folks. Inside jokes. Good to see you here, Brian. So now let's go ahead, let's shift gears. I did kind of put a little bit of a teaser in what I was going to talk about today within the description, and that was Facebook groups. And specifically, someone asked me, let me scroll down here, where would you best promote a book? And I'm going to kind of generalize it because it was a little more specific to who they are. When it comes to books, they asked, is Facebook a good place to do it? Is Facebook groups? There was a time and there was a place for when you could actually go into groups and just, here's my new book, boom, drop it and go. It really did work. But if you're doing that practice right now, stop. Stop. My good buddy Jason puts it this way, and this is one of my favorite sayings, okay? He said, and it was in regards to something else, you're stacking pennies, okay? And this is to say that you'd rather be stacking Benjamins, meaning you're going to want to be putting down hundreds. You want to be collecting bigger money rather than just stacking pennies, because let's just face it, you can stack pennies. It's going to take a whole lot of time. Your hands are going to be filthy by the time you're done with it, and you're not going to be very rich at all. You're not going to have any form of any kind of financial freedom stacking pennies. And that's to say this. Facebook groups, and I'm just going to address Facebook, social media as a whole. That's a different ballgame in and of itself. If you've got a book you want to promote, don't just drop and run. Don't just sit there and take your link to your latest free book promotion and just go into this other book. So let's talk about, first of all, one. There are groups, and see, I even had a book out, and there's a good reason why I pulled it down. You guys can actually get this for free when you sign up for my newsletter, which is, by the way, shameless self-plug, selfpublishingwithdale.com/sign up. Within the first week, actually, I send you this report, but I do need to kind of let you know ahead of time. These groups really don't work that well. There are groups that are devoted to free book promotions, that are devoted to Kindle Unlimited books, that are devoted to review swaps, still happens. And the issue that we're running into with those type of groups is, I want you to think about a meeting of network marketers. Okay, we're talking about MLM, multi-level marketing. So the Amways, the Herbalifes, the Advocares, the Mary Kays, the so on and so forth. Yes, yoga Latinos, you got it right on the money. Here, that's the thing. Aren't those groups not just full with other authors but no sellers? That's it. See, that's the big issue, is you've got a network marketing meeting and you've got all these people that want to sell their wares. Nobody cares about your book, because all they care about is dropping their book into it. And the very few people that will download that book are only going to do it because they expect something in exchange, a quid pro quo, whether it is a review swap or, you got to download their book. And then after a while, your account gets junked up with all these free books you never wanted in the first place. So I think that's where some people get frustrated that they just eventually just drop and run. They just drop their free promotion into a group and run. Here is what you should be doing. Let's just take something as simple as, I followed what you meant with buyers. You need to find your niche audience. I don't care who you are or what niche you publish in. There is something for everyone, and Facebook has it. I mean, there's some weird stuff. Try to concoct something. Maybe one of these times we should just get into a live stream and let's go into Facebook and find all the weird groups that are out there. But you find something. So for instance, one of the groups that I'm in, and I'm really bad, I haven't interacted with it lately, is I've got a group called Diet and Exercise Support Group, and it's grown into the hundreds, and I'm pretty happy about it. It could be a little bit more active, but that's my own fault. But in theory, what you're doing is you go into a group that's related to your niche. Let's just say, for instance, you have romance books, which, by the way, there are tons of romance groups, people that love to talk about, like almost like a library book reading group. And you find that. But here's the thing is, you're going to be tempted to sit there and think to yourself, okay, so I just go in there and just put my free book promotion. No, don't do that. What you got to do is start to build a relationship first. Start a conversation with people. Be real, okay? You can hire a VA for $3 per hour to go and do all the spamming in the groups, but it's still going to lead to the same thing, stacking pennies. And literally all you're doing is just putting food on their plate, because I guarantee you that whatever that VA is doing isn't going to be bringing you in thousands upon thousands of dollars per month, at least not in the long term. What you're going to need to do is interact with people. Be it you're in the group and you like a post, or you chime in. Here's a great one. Just ask a question. Something simple. So if you're in a romance group, you can always say, who's your favorite romance author? Is it, I'm sorry, I'm losing some here, guys. E.L. James, which that's probably not even close to being at Whips and Chains and stuff. Or insert other romance author. So, or what's your favorite type of romance book? Or what's your favorite romance book you've ever read? And that's really where you're going to start to build a relationship and start to build a little bit of a following. And eventually what's going to end up happening, especially if you're the author of a specific book, people are going to start to go, huh, I want to look into this. And then the next thing you know, people are clamoring to get a hold of your book. And you didn't have to pimp a single thing. And here's the really cool part, and this is one of the fun things I have in the diet and exercise support group is I actually do have some readers and some fans of my product. They advertise the books for me. They literally go, hey, did you get Dale's latest book? Or I'm trying out the 90-day home workout plan for the first time. Just finished my first week. Boy, I'm sore. I didn't have to say a single thing. They said it for me. And that's one of the really, really cool things is when you just take your time and start to build relationships and start to talk to people and connect with people and be an actual person, for crying out loud, and be social on social media. That's crazy, right? You can start to really see a big change and start to develop a little bit more of a solid following. And if you need a better idea of what I mean, I would really highly recommend good suggested reading here. And there's no link in the description. You just go over to Amazon, pick it up. It's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's by Gary Vaynerchuk. And he talks a lot about deliver value, deliver value, deliver value, deliver value. And once when you delivered all the value in the entire world, then ask for the sale. And the whole theory is, by the time you've delivered so much value, some people feel almost like, I can't miss out on this. This guy's giving me so much great stuff, I'm going to go ahead and pick his stuff up. So that's something to think about. How about if you go to alternative groups, groups about your niche that have nothing to do with books? Yes, that is the key is try to find even things that aren't even anything to do with books. I've been guilty of this. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I think my brother BV, Bionic Vapor here, can probably attest to this fact that over the past few years, since I've been in the self-publishing business, I've got hundreds of friends on Facebook, and some of them I do know at a more personal level, and some of them I just kind of through social media. But my biggest issue has been I get sometimes excited about my publications, and what I'll do is I'll just continually, hey, check out my book, check out my book, check out my book. Problem is people just kind of get tired of that. So that's another way of just, connecting with people. So alternative groups as well as in your own personal profile, think about, how you're representing your brand as a whole. You even have, say, for instance, your personal like page, which hopefully if any of you are authors out there, or if you are self-publishers putting out ghostwritten books, make sure that if you're going to be using Facebook and utilizing it, really highly recommend you put an author page down. I do get quite a bit of traffic to my website through my like page. And it's crazy because my website, it's plugged inside my books, but for some reason people automatically go to Facebook and then they'll click on my lead magnet there, or they will go over into my website. So that is one way. That's possible, but when you only promote your books, they kick you out. You have to add value. Yes. Money. That is the money statement right there. There are literally some groups that will kick you out because they're like, why are you doing this? Don't be that weird person. And hopefully you guys can kind of agree with me on this. Do you find it kind of weird if you just met somebody and they come up to you and they start selling you on something? And just give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes. Give me a no. If you just met somebody, literally, they come up and they go, hey, what's your name? And I'll be like, hi, I'm Dale. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sell you something. It's my latest book. You're going to be like, hello, you're going to buy me wine and dinner first before you decide to do this? So that's the thing. How many of you guys are watching this can just agree with me on this one? And if you disagree, please, by all means, vocalize it. It's just you have to kind of put yourself into your potential audience's feet, into their shoes. You need to understand where they're coming from. What is happening? There is my good friend Katrina from The Lady Writes. What is happening? So yeah, it's crazy. It's just I think some people unfortunately get so detached that they work from home and they forget their social manners, their social etiquette. And the thing is it really does carry over online. And if you're going over being that weird person, well, of course people aren't going to buy your books. No one's going to download it because they don't care about you. And I think John C. Maxwell put it once, and I'm just going to paraphrase it. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that's the thing, is start to build relationships. And when I started really grasping that and starting to say, oh, I need to be of value before I sell things, for some reason, that connection, I saw an incremental growth in all of my publications across the board. When I stopped spamming groups, when I stopped just going out and just beating people up. Let me go ahead and let me give you guys another real life situation. Yeah, man, I get pretty aggressive when people do that, especially in person. Yeah, it's just like, oh, geez, okay. So AC, I'm just going to call you AC. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure how to pronounce your handle here. I do see you all the time commenting on my stuff. I really do appreciate the support. So AC, have you ever had somebody who comes up to you and we'll say just in public, Anthony, excellent. I'm going to try to remember that, Anthony. So Anthony, have you ever had somebody show up to you in public, and anybody else who's watching this, by the way, this is going to be directed towards you. Have you ever had that issue where someone comes up to you and they're ready to sell their multi-level marketing stuff? Like they literally are just like, as soon as they're ready to go, they're just, let me tell you about It Wraps. No, I don't want to know about It Wraps. No, do I look fat? Does it look like I want to put that stuff on me? Does it look like I want to have your supplements? I threw it on the ground. Which, by the way, if anybody's hitting me up via Messenger right now, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to respond to you. Please, folks, just comment in the chat here. No, different than those dildos who knock on your door during dinner to sell you something. Are there still door-to-door people out there? I didn't know that existed. Maybe I'm just completely antisocial. I know they're actually, when I first got here, some ding-dong comes over, knocks on the door, and he's trying to sell me his DirecTV package for internet. I'm like, I already got internet. He's like, well, this is $30. I was like, I'm happy with it, thanks. Well, this is cheaper. And I'm like, take care, close that door. I'm like, man, you're letting the cold air in the house. Get out of here. You're ruining my damn day. They get what they give right back. Disrespect or respect. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm not going to sit here and point. For any finger I'm pointing forward, there's three fingers pointing back. My good buddy Rob Bailey told me that one before. Anytime I'm pointing at you, three fingers are pointing back. Look, I did multi-level marketing at one point, and I was that weird guy because I believed that the more people that I contacted, the more people I socialized with, well, the more open they would be to sales. And granted, I made a semi-decent part-time living out of it. But man, at the end of the day, I felt like I had to bathe myself in bleach because I was just like, I don't like myself. I don't like the way I've become. I don't like how this is represented. And sure, there might be some MLM people out there and some network marketers that are great at what they do. And they probably don't step on people's toes and they don't show disrespect. But then there are a greater few, I swear to you, they're the scabs of their business and they really represent them as a whole. Educate, don't sell. That is so right on. Willie Mae, you're the man. Wait, I knock your door to sell your house. I live in an apartment, Willie. Come on, help me out here, dude. You're killing me. You're killing me. Which, speaking of, I think William May, if you guys haven't had the opportunity, make sure you go back and watch his interview. I posted it this past Friday. William, a big congrats again. Those of you guys are in here. Make sure you give him a pat on the back. William actually did become a #1 bestseller in his first 3 weeks in the business. William, outwardly, I'm celebrating you with you. Inwardly, I'm dying inside because in my first 3 weeks of being in the business, I didn't even get a stinking book cover done. So kudos to you, man. You did great work. So please, folks, make sure that you show him a little bit of love. And of course, say something over to him on the interview itself. It was a fun interview. William's a very, very passionate guy. What is a decent revenue for a book on ACX monthly? You tell me. What do you consider decent? if you're what you're looking for is what is an average, it's really hard to tell, man. I can tell you that I've got some ACX books that pull in hardly draw flies, and some of them that probably sell, 100 here, 100 there, and granted that I'm probably just, shrugging that, yeah, whatever, selling 100. Some people are like, I didn't even sell 2 last month. Here's something that will kind of help you out a little bit. And another friend of mine it's actually been some time ago. It was probably last September. And I was saying to him, hey, man, you got to consider ACX. You got to do it. I don't know. It seems too hard. I'm like, no. And I have actual ACX playlist series, and which, by the way, it's unlisted. So if for some reason we get disconnected and I don't put this in description, please, folks, feel free to email me over at dale@selfpublishingwithdale.com, and I'll give you a link to the ACX playlist series. Any rate, though, I sent it to him. He blazed right through the whole thing. And he's like, oh, okay, this is not too bad. So he took one of his books, which was a self-help book that he had. And wasn't anything big. I don't think I could be off. He was like probably an hour or 2 hours long as far as the audiobook goes. So the royalty couldn't have been all that much, because a book that's about an hour to 2 hours long is going to run about $3.95 to $6.95. Remember, if you have that being distributed through ACX, you're only going to get 40% of royalties. And then if you have the 50-50 split, you're going to get 50% of that 40%, meaning you're only getting 20%. A lot of people are like, ugh, that stinks, but it really does add up after a while. And if you're not doing anything on audiobook, it's a pretty good viable option. Any event, and I'm going to get back here to ACX and talk to you guys a little bit more about that. But this guy, first book, right out the gate, William, you're going to love this one. $3,000, one book, 1 month, and it was less than a month. I think he said it was like 2.5 weeks, because he just happened to get it out, and as some of you may be familiar, when you put all your stuff up to ACX for approval, they finally do approve it. It does take a while for them to actually get it onto market. So he had 2.5 weeks of sales at $3,000 that he netted. Okay, so that means his 50-50 split was $6,000 altogether. Keeping in mind, you take $6,000, okay, that's 40%, and you got another, okay, help me out. I'm feeling pretty dumbed out. I'm into self-publishing, but clearly I'm not into math. But the other 60% of that, okay, that's how much sales he got. This is insane. He made a very jokingly awkward sexual advance at me, and I was like, well, that's not necessary. A thank you will do. Thank you, brother. So, any event, so yes, William, ACX is very possible. On another token too is, you may not make very much money on ACX. Keep in mind the bounty program is insanity. It is pure insanity. $50 to sell your book? Are you kidding me? I'll take that all stinking day long. And I've known some people that have made anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 per month in bounties alone. Bear in mind, once again, if the bounty comes by way of a book that you've done a narrator split of 50-50, they're going to take 50% of that, okay? So if you do about $2,000 in bounties, then you're ultimately going to get $1,000, and then your narrator gets $1,000. Speaking of ACX, I did want to come back to this, and I'm going to double back around. Make sure that you guys check out tomorrow's interview at 6 p.m. It's with Pam Rossi. She actually is a narrator for a couple of my ghost-written brands, and one ghost-written brand, excuse me. I said plural on that. And she's just fantastic. You guys get to hear a little bit about her story in self-publishing, how she published a book this freaking thick. It is super thick, full color. And she has a ton of these with a bunch of rock stars, some classic rock names, and she'll talk about that tomorrow in the interview. Great interview, by the way. It was so much fun talking to her. Let's see here. You helped as well. Thank you. Hey, my pleasure. ACX and Kindle should be used for marketing and selling physical books, in my opinion. Boom! Anthony! 5 stars, dude. You get points on that one, man. Yes, 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 yes. Man, here we go. Well, let me get the stats out here, guys. Okay, according to the American Association of Publishers, you guys ready for this one? This is great, like you guys are going to, Anthony's right on the money. Here's why. According to the American Association of Publishers, electronic books made in excess of $281 million over the past year. Okay? It's 19% of the market. Oh. A lot of people have been paying attention to Kindle, and they really go Kindle, Kindle, Kindle. And I'm not going to knock anybody at this point, and I don't want to belittle you. It's probably due to some form of ignorance. And ignorance doesn't make you an idiot or anything else like that. You're just not informed like you should be. You're not looking into things. Like, I'm always trying to study, as you guys can see from the content I'm releasing out daily. I try to teach myself new things. Heck, I even came out this past Tuesday and told you, hey, I was wrong. I was wrong on some reviews. So, any event, a lot of these would-be self-publishers, and some of them that have picked their ball up and gone on to other things like Shopify and Amazon FBA and all these kind of things, well, they're too busy focusing on Kindle. Okay, ebooks, 20%. Okay, 19, excuse me, got that wrong. And here's the catch. You ready for this? It dropped 5%, 5.3% from the previous year in earnings. Yeah, that's right, 5% drop. Okay, I'm not saying ebooks are going anywhere. They're definitely here to stay. I like reading them. I don't like to have the clutter in my house. But the fact is, we are a material people. Okay? We're very material. We like to have things in our hands. We like to have manuals. We like the smell of crisp printed pages. People want to read. And to a certain extent, I don't blame them. It's hard to go like, here, hold on to my smelly phone. Look at my new book on my smelly phone. Do you like it? How awesome is that? Yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I'll just take your word for it. But how many times has somebody gone, dude, you got to check out this book. Hand over a physical copy. Who's ever gone, nah, I'm good. You typically go, oh, is this good? Cool, I'll check it out. And so that's the thing, is we're very material. And it's not me knocking people down. So where people were rushing to the kids' table. And I'll tell you why it's the kids' table. When people are rushing to just Kindle alone, they're paying attention to only, what, less than 20% of the global profits? What? Like, no, come over to the buffet. The buffet is in physical products, is in print books. And here is the actual numbers. See, I got these things. I always keep them down here. I personally hate reading online, but I'm old school. Yeah, man. If I didn't have all the clutter, I probably would have more print books. I sold all of mine about a year ago before I moved from Phoenix. And I got to tell you, I like not having it. A friend of mine sent me a complimentary copy of his book as a kind gesture. And just a note here to anybody that wants to send gifts, please, I beg you, ebooks only. Ebooks only. I don't like to have the clutter. That's just a personal preference of mine. If I get a print book, if you really are that hard up, you want me to read your print book, I'll go get it at the library because then I can just return it and I don't have the clutter. Because here's the issue. I'm going to say this straight right now, guys. Listen to me. I've done it with my own books. Yes, that's right. I go to half-price books. I go and sell it for like 30 cents. I can go get myself, I don't know, a drip of coffee. So, print books. Hardback made up $469 million. That was 31.7% of the revenue. With paperback books making up $559.8 million. 40%. That is versus 19% of the ebooks. Yeah, let's do the math on that here, folks. Okay? And this is not just largely the four major large companies. Gosh darn it, I'm not speaking right today. Forgive me, guys. I'm cutting back on caffeine. You can't tell it. This doesn't just include major publishers. Self-publishers are really starting to come out to the forefront. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that even if my ebook sales went away, even if my audiobook sales went away, if I had print sales alone, Literally, it would take care of my wife and I alone. Now, I'm not saying this to brag and buy my Lamborghini. You know, I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm saying this to tell you that if you're focused on Kindle, ebook, you're missing the bigger picture. You're just looking at it like this, okay? You need to look at the giant picture because the greater portion of everything is in print books. Print books makes up over 70% of all global profits. It'd be crazy for you not to get in. And it only saw, let's see here, hardback books saw an 8% increase in sales over the past year. Paperbacks did see a 4.7% dip in sales, okay? But if you average those two out, you're looking at still a 4% increase across print books. Hardback books, I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the coming, I'm thinking in the next year. The only reason why I'm kind of being really wishy-washy about it is I do plan on printing on hardback, and I'll be doing it through Ingram Spark. I did a recent seminar down in Cincinnati with Ingram Spark, and I just loved everything that they did. They had a great panel of guests. They were very thorough, and they were honest to a fault. They said some things I really didn't want to hear, but to a certain extent, I really liked it, and they really won me over on purchasing my own ISBNs from Balker, and I will be printing through Ingram Spark on future purchases. So I personally, did anyone else hear that? Print books, baby, LOL. That's my next step too, hardback. Yeah, hardback. If you can too, if you guys are watching this, a good friend of mine, Walter, he actually asked me in a recent video if I would be considering putting up Nook Press. If any of you guys have had experience in Nook Press, please drop a comment for me here. Let me know if you've used Nook Press, because Nook Press not only does ebook, but it also does paperback and it does hardback, and it does it in varying sizes. And the hardback, you ready for this? You're going to love this one, Anthony. It does hardback, and it does hardback with jackets. I was like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about having my own hardback book with a jacket on it that I'll end up selling to Half Price Books. But nonetheless, a hardback with the jacket on it. So that's super exciting. And Ingram Spark, I think, offers it. They might, but I do know Nook Press does offer it. So show WTF. My YouTube ended up flagging you there for a second there, buddy. Not my fault if they flagged you. Any event, let me finish out the rest of the actual statistics here from the American Association of Publishers. And rounding out, there are two other categories in publishing. What? I've already talked about ebooks. I've talked about hardback and paperback books. We're going to go into audiobooks, but there is a fifth category, believe it or not, and it makes a lot of money. And this is something I'm going to be talking about in a future video, which is crazy. Oh, don't sweat it, dude. And YouTube, I can't control them. They do what they want to do. So, audiobook has $74.7 million in sales over the past year and has seen a 5% increase. But, even though it was a 5% increase, from the previous year, though, 28.8%. This is a boom. This is exponentially bigger than any of the other categories, including the miscellaneous one I'm going to talk about here pretty soon. Audiobooks are coming into fashion. And this is not just pointing out ACX. Guys, there's other distributors out there. Thankfully, one of the viewers, and I'm sorry if I can't remember, it might be Sunny Auday, that Sunny might have told me about Authors Republic, wide distribution and reach. There is also Findaway Voices through our good friends over at Drafted Digital. I always say good friends, by the way, because those guys show me a lot of love. I really, really dig Drafted Digital. They've been so sweet. They do a lot of retweets for me. They push a lot of my videos. So big thank you to everybody at Drafted Digital. But yeah, they have the partnership with Findaway Voices. The issue is, though, when you get away from ACX, you lose that comfort of having the marketplace available to you in the 50-50 royalty split. So you are going to have to talk about doing finished price per hour. If you don't understand finished price per hour, rest assured, tune in tomorrow night to the interview that I have with Pam Rossi. She explains what finished price per hour is and what that means to a narrator, how that pays her. So I'll tell you this right now, I'm highly doubting I will be doing any more 50-50 splits in the near future. I've had some real great relationships and some great narrators, and I've had some really bad experiences. I mean, some really, really bad experiences. There's been some, like for instance, I had somebody that I hired, and he was supposed to complete the project back months ago. And I keep getting I'm going to get the first 15 minutes to you. Now, I could go over and I could cancel it through ACX, but it's just a lot of headaches, hassles, and, horse manure. So I don't feel like messing around with that stuff. So if you guys can consider, if you've got a good, strong publication, it's proven that someone's buying the paperback, they're buying the ebooks, then I'm going to tell you the audiobook, take a little bit of your funds from your ebook sales and from your paperback sales, pay for the finished price per hour. It is worth it, I'm telling you, and especially with the crazy growth of audiobooks. And I'm telling you, I'm putting the money on it. How many of you guys out there listen to a podcast? How many of you listen to a podcast? Drop it in the comments here. I would like to hear from you, because I'm going to tell you this. I listen to tons of podcasts. I'm going to tell you this right now, alone in wrestling, because I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. I listen to Chris Jericho. I listen to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I listen to Conan. I listen to Raven. Gosh, that doesn't even include when Steve Scott and Barry Davenport, of course, have their self-publishing podcast up. There are so many podcasts I listen to, and sometimes I'm just working out. I listen to YouTube. Some of you that, I know my buddy William here, he actually has YouTube Red, so he pays about $10 per month, I think, in order to actually just listen to YouTube videos. And that way, he doesn't have to leave his phone on while he's doing it. Amen. I do. Willie listens to it, so excellent. Don't send my book back. Don't forget to, yes, good point. Don't forget to bundle your books on ACX. Bigger profits. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have one series, and I have no qualms in sharing this particular one, that I had a ghostwriter do a cowboy series for me. Clean romance. That's all I have is clean romance. I'm not into the whole erotica thing. Any event, that's another story for another day. But any event, I had somebody write a clean romance, and ding dong, me, big dummy I am, I didn't bundle it till like months later. I was like, why didn't I do that? And I bundled it together to make a giant novel and start selling like crazy. And of course, when people buy the ACX version, mind you, it's 5 books bundled together. That adds up to 5-6 hours of content. And I think it might have like a retail price of maybe close to $20, something like that. Because obviously, anytime you put something through ACX, they will price it. You can't price anything through ACX, by the way. That's another disadvantage that I didn't mention in my ACX review. They will price your book according to the length of it. So that's one thing that you have your hands tied on. They have a full FAQ section. You guys can go in, look in there, and see what it is as far as the payout goes. But I have 3 books that are about 3 months overdue. Nice. I love YouTube Red. Yeah. I was thinking about doing my own narration for more profits. Thoughts? Yeah. If you have the discretionary time and the expense, by all means, try to do your own audiobook narration. In fact, my own children's books, there's a good reason why I've been holding off on it, because of how busy I am in YouTube and putting together this new course and everything else, and even publishing, trying to in between. I haven't had the chance to go to my children's books, which is Grumpy Gus. You guys can look it up. It's underneath the pen name of Dale Lewis, which is just my first and middle name. And the series doesn't do all that great, but to be honest with you, I just threw it out on the market because I just wanted to do it. It was a passion thing. I was more focused, I still am more focused on my fitness brands and some of my other ghost-written brands. And any event, the children's book, I want to put it out because I feel that I could best encompass, best sound like the characters and how I want them to sound. I'm a big cartoon fanatic. And I think that my brother, if he's still on the stream, which I doubt it, I think he probably peeled out of here, but I've always been one that I can be able to make different voices and imitate different things. And, you know, it's a book of monkeys, so I think it'll be just a tremendous amount of fun. So all that to say this, yes, it really doesn't require too much of an investment. I've heard a lot of people, and maybe I can just kind of turn this here so you guys can actually see my my microphone here. It's a Rode NT1A, and I don't know if I got in all the way. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. So you guys can kind of see it. Any event, we'll leave it in the corner of a shot. So that's a Rode NT1A, and that's actually the one that ACX offered. If I were to recommend anything to you guys, don't get that one. Don't. It literally is just too much. It's like literally trying to, you know, it's an overkill. It literally is. Quick, Ma, get the hammer. There's a fly on the baby's head, you know. You don't need to be going that heavy on it. That ran me, I think that was $250. $250 altogether. You guys can find the Rode NT1A. I just did it through a recommendation, and the boom was extra. The cable was extra. I had to get a preamp for it, so it actually could get phantom power into it. It's a pain in the rear end. And I've heard a lot of things about Yeti Blue mics. And I know that my brother BV actually, yes, Yeti mics are great. I hear nothing but stellar things about the Yeti mics. They're relatively inexpensive. They don't need phantom power. They give good, crisp, clean sound. And this is a recommendation through Rob Archangel. Some of you guys might have caught my interview with Rob. Rob actually runs and owns Archangel Inc. He started that up with the infamous Buck Flogging, aka Matt Stone. But either way, they actually did audiobook production. They still do, actually. And he recommended Audacity. Audacity is a open source software that you can literally download. And he says it is just more easy than you know it. So if you need a better idea, Rob actually does have a tutorial on his channel over at Archangel Inc. If you guys go over to the YouTube channel, make sure you give him a thumbs up and tell him, hey, Dale sent me over here. He doesn't give me anything, but nonetheless, I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But he does have something on there. I plan on using that tutorial and going through there. I doubt I'll put up any tutorials about how to produce audiobooks until I've got a firm grasp on the fundamentals. Yes, always go with XLR mics. Yeah, if you can. BV question, but still can do USB on it as well. Oh, okay. So. BV, I need to ask you, your Yeti mic, you've got a pretty nice one. Now, those of you who aren't familiar, Bionic Vapor actually has his own channel over on Twitch, and he does streaming video games. So, BV, is it USB or is it XLR? Because I know you and I came from a music background, and XLR mics are probably the best way to go because you lose a lot of the frequencies that you would otherwise get through XLR if you use, say, quarter inch or even worse yet, USB. Oh, so you have the best of both worlds. Okay, excellent. So there we go. Yeah. What is my interface? It actually is a. Let me see if I can carefully raise it up here. Damn, I don't think I can. Unfortunately, it's kind of tied down with a bunch of wires, and I'll probably end up tipping over my entire set here. It is a Tascam US322 USB 2.0 audio interface. It actually has two inputs on it, XLR, as well as two quarter-inch jacks on it. You can also have the headphones on this. It has two volume controls as well as the monitor mix. You have headphones mix. You have the 48-volt phantom power. And then you can switch between mic line and guitar. And something I don't share on my channel is I'm an avid guitarist. I've been playing since I was 13 years old. So I like to sit down every now and then and play some music. I just do it for fun. I don't do it to make a big living out of it, and I don't do it to impress anybody. It's a fun little hobby outside of self-publishing that kind of feels good. If you're ever interested, go to SoundCloud. Head over to SoundCloud, look up the Dales Trio, and you'll see a picture of me with two monkeys. You'll recognize the photo from this YouTube channel, and it actually has a number of rock songs that I put together. Dale, you have a whole studio. It really is, actually. I need to walk you guys through here one of these times, maybe get my mobile device up. Actually, my entire office here is, it's the best way I could put it is it's white trash. It's white trash chic. I have old curtains that I brought back from Arizona because it gets so hot. You have to have curtains, and you have to have plenty of curtains over almost every piece of window out there, especially at the last place I was at. It had single pane windows. And so I brought these curtains with me, so the entire office is lined in curtains. And it kind of buffers the sound, and believe it or not, during the wintertime, it does keep it kind of warm, but it does kill a little bit of the reverberation. I'm going to be working on deadening the sound on the ceiling next. That way I can really, really get a good, crisp, clean sound. The Rod Podcaster is my USB mic, but have other XLR mics and interfaces. Have Zoom H5 and Focusrite TI2 with MXL 770. Wow. Woo. All those went right over my head. I've never heard of it. His lighting's way better than mine. Hey, I like the wall of curtains. Hey, the wall of curtains works, baby. Works. And guess what? It didn't cost me a darn thing. Biggest issue is environmental sound. Yes, yes. And you guys can hear it to a certain extent right now. I mean, you hear a little bit of the echo. By the way, it's deadened in here. But my voice carries really well. Oh, the Rode. Okay, yeah. Rode puts out solid products. I can't say enough. I don't want to bash my NT1A. But like I said, it's an overkill. It literally is. If I wanted to go do high quality studio recording, then this is probably the one I should have gone with. But yeah, Rode is stellar stuff. A lot of professional musicians and studios use Rode mics. But I've been told, even from one of my other narrators, Morris Cravens, Morris told me he used just a standard XLR microphone. I think he picked it up maybe like a Radio Shack. It was super cheap, like could have been like 30 to 50 bucks for the stinking microphone. And he put out quality work, which if anybody's ever interested, I'll shoot you a free promo code to download one of my books, even just to listen to it for like 2 seconds on the fitness books. The guy, Morris, just did stellar work, just great work. He was probably one of my best narrators until he fell off the face of the planet, literally just disappeared. Like, I need to send a search party after him. I should probably be concerned. But all right, so we're talking about audiobooks, man. I love, talking shop. I might as well go ahead and try to put a bow in this one and start to wrap up exactly what I was talking about with the American Association of Publishers. I've already mentioned that 281, and we're just going to say million here. I'm just going to save myself a few breaths here. 281 for ebooks. We have 469 for hardback. We have 559, technically 560 for print paperbacks. And then for audiobook, we had 74.7. Now, millions are a lot, and there really is not that many publishers within our industry, and even less serious publishers. And if you're really serious about what you do, and you take it seriously, and you do put a little bit of effort in every single day, you're going to get a bigger piece of pie. I promise you. There's nothing special about me, and I don't have to care about a 9-to-5 job, really. This is I would hate to call it a job. It's my fun time. But there's a huge piece of the pie. But this is the one that's going to send your eyebrows. You guys got to just bear with me as I try to explain this one. There's a miscellaneous category, and I've just kind of called it other. And I forget what they actually called it. But the American Association of Publishers had a miscellaneous category that brought in $92.4 million. That's right, it made more. It made more than audiobooks. It made up 6% of all of the revenue publications. So this particular avenue, miscellaneous. Buckle your seatbelts here, guys. This is going to be crazy. I'm going to take you up to the top and I'm going to drop you down. It's going to be like, woo! Cassette tapes. People are still buying cassette tapes. What? Really? People are buying cassette tapes still. Yes. And believe it or not, people are still buying CDs for audiobooks. Yeah. When I was talking about audiobooks, by the way, guys, that was just downloadable audiobooks. This is referring to other forms. And it's also, you ready for this? Okay? People are buying cassettes. People are buying CDs. And they're doing board books. Now, you're going to go, Dale, what's board books? You ever seen a kid's book that has the thick like cardboard, non-corrugation, cardboard style books? Real thick. You can assault somebody with it. Those are board books. Now, how you publish them, that I don't know. Unfortunately, you're probably going to have to find like maybe a vanity publisher, or you're going to have to find a specific print house that can fulfill orders like that. You may even be able to reach overseas to drop ship something like that. I don't know, unfortunately, for board books, but I guess board books makes up a greater portion of that actual profit. Excuse me. And here's the funny thing. You ready for this? The other category was a 4% increase from the prior year. Yeah, it increased in popularity, and you didn't even know about it. Yeah, so let that sink in. While everybody's over there at the kids' table messing around with Kindle books, someone is out there profiting hand and fist from audiobook on cassette tape still. Somebody's profiting hand and fist from board books that you can hurt somebody with. I probably shouldn't put it that way, actually. It's a kid's book, but I just remember, fond memories of my brother and I beating each other up with Fraggles, with the big plastic eyes and hurting each other with that, and wire coat hangers and board books. So those board books were so hard, and they had hard edges. You can literally just hit somebody with it and knock them out. So, can you technically take your audiobook and transfer it to CD according to ACX guidelines? Man, that is a great question. I believe that it's a different distribution model, but you're going to probably have to reach out to ACX and ask them that. I never thought of that. Actually, go figure. My kingdom for a pen. Yeah, here we go. Anthony, I'm glad you mentioned that, because now I'm curious, because believe it or not, CreateSpace actually still does put out CDs. You can actually produce CDs. And if you've already done a paperback book, CDs are super simple. Way, 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 way simpler. You're obviously having to handle putting up the MP3 files, make sure that they're properly formatted. That was pretty easy for me. I've done one before. And I just went on to Fiverr. I found somebody who was able to do CD artwork according to specifications. It ran me about $10, and it wasn't anything to write home about, but I at least had the artwork, and the stuff is up on Amazon. But nonetheless, I was able to do CD. Now, not to burst your bubble though, if you do CDs over on CreateSpace, it is burnt CDs. So it's like the CD recordable type thing. Not a rewritable, but it's just a recordable. So you're not going to have like the traditional CD where it's like kind of the silvery bottom. It's going to be like that bluish, goldish look to it, where you can tell it's a written CD. But the print that's on top of it, it's good print. It's not like it's like one of those taped on generic looking things. So they do a great job with that. And the actual inserts for the CD itself, it's clean. It comes out good. CreateSpace, as per usual, does really, really great work. So that's a great one. Man, I love that. See, this is why I like talking to you guys, and I like hearing from comments, because it opens up a treasure trove of ideas. Because if there are people out there still buying audiobooks via CD, I mean, who knows where we can be able to take this. So I think that, and this is just me speculating here, and I'm just speaking out loud. Maybe I'm speaking a little bit out of turn on this one. I think if you've had a narrator narrate it, then you're probably going to have to jump through some hoops to fulfill it, because they still own 50% of the distribution sales. ACX owns the distribution rights, okay, if you've got it on the 40% model. If you have the non-exclusivity, which is 25%, then you don't have to be exclusive. And at that point, you can probably do it. So I'm thinking out loud, if you want to do something like a CD, you may have to end up going down to the 25% model, but then you're still going to have to contend with the 50-50 split. So hit up ACX, ask them that, hey, if I put something up on your platform, can I still be able to put it out on CD? To me, I'm thinking it's a different product. And see, that's where a lot of people get confused, especially with KDP Select. They think if they opt into KDP Select, which is an exclusivity contract, saying that you're just going to put out your ebook on Amazon only for 90 days straight. A lot of people get confused. They think that it's an exclusivity contract for all forms of print media. And the thing is, that's not. No, KDP Select only just covers ebook for that specific ebook. when you go over to a print book and you go over to an audiobook, those are two different types of products. Distribution changes, just a different product. It's going to have a different ISBN on it too as well. So that is something that a lot of people get confused of. So I'm thinking all that to kind of say this, it might be possible. It really might be possible. I'm actually kind of excited that you thought of that. And I'm going to give you big credit for that. But it will make narrators super mad, probably. R.A. Bentic. What do you do when your narrator has stalled on ACX? Communicate with them. I have one guy right now, he's dragging his feet, and he should have been done months ago. Months ago. It was a 10,000, less than 10,000, oh yeah, about a 10,000 word book, which runs about an hour and no more than about 3 hours of production time probably on it. And he's taken a long time. Here's the deal. Communicate with that person. I try to communicate through ACX, and if I've got their email as well, I try to communicate through there. If I don't get any response, this hasn't happened for me, but thankfully my wife's in this business as well, and she has her own company that she does publishing in, and she has scores of audiobooks on ACX. She says she has no qualms getting hold of ACX and saying, hey, this person's not returning in my stuff. They're way past due on their deadline. Can you please cancel this contract? And then she puts it right back up onto the market for auditions. So I'm looking for an option to cancel, but not finding one. My book was due 2 months. Oh, that's way too long. Yeah, two months is way too long. If your narrator's not getting back to you, RA, I would really just recommend that you just get a hold of ACX. You could do that at support@acx.com and let them know, okay, this is the title of my book, this is the narrator, and this is the timeline, and I've communicated this many times. They'll kill the contract. My wife has told me that they've never had any issue. Anytime that comes up, they're like, sorry this happened. It's officially available for audition again. So, yeah, CDs, here I come. I know. Oh, man. But not the copyrights. No. Yeah, that brings up a great point. You, as the person who is putting up your book onto audiobook, onto ACX, you are 100% the copyright owner. Unless you sign your copyright over to someone, which I hope you don't, you always own the copyright to your book. It's the distribution rights that sometimes are in question. So let's look at BabelCube for a second, which is the translation platform that I've talked about on this channel before. By the way, that works just like ACX does. BabelCube is distribution rights. They don't own the copyright to my book in German. They don't own the copyright to my French book. They don't own the copyright to my Dutch book. I own the copyright to that, and I always will until I otherwise do something stupid like maybe sell it or I sign a contract unknowingly. Either way, they've got the distribution rights. And the nice thing about BabelCube is they only keep the distribution rights for 5 years. And, oh, you guys are going to find out some really cool stuff about narrators over on ACX. I don't want to spoil this, but there is actually limitations on the 50-50 split. I did not know this, and the interview actually tells you about the limitation. Over on BabelCube, though, the distribution limitation actually is 5 years on BabelCube. So I think I probably put my first BabelCube books up maybe about a year ago. So about another 4 years, all of the distribution rights come to me. And that means I own 100% of all distribution rights. I can take it and I can move these translated books out into other platforms, which, watch out, world, because in my opinion, I don't think that BabelCube has been quite up to snuff like I had wished it to. I'm not going to throw them under the bridge. Yeah, you have to notify the narrator and then contact ACX. Yeah, give the narrator the benefit of the doubt. You just never know. I mean, you know, you could have had maybe your narrator's down in Florida and was involved in some of this natural disaster type stuff. And maybe before that, they had a death in the family. Maybe before that, they were mauled by a wild bear. I don't know. We got to give them the benefit of the doubt and at least drop them one communication. If they get back to you, great. If they don't, then move on. And I think it's going to be up to your discretion on how you move forward because, you know, my answers aren't going to always be appropriate for you. It just depends on what your personality is like. I'm a little bit more bendable. Like I said, I mentioned with my narrator, I'm having some issues with him. But I have so much going on right now that I literally taking the time to go and email him right now and nag him about, you know, hey, you're kind of past due. Or for that matter, getting hold of ACX. It's just, it's not worth my time. Once again, going back to the whole stacking pennies thing, because I'm focused on a lot more larger ticket items. But I will be doubling back around over to him. So, Anthony, I don't know what it is, man. YouTube just keeps on they're like, he's saying bad things. I need to get my moderators in here, hopefully passing this. My narrator's cat died. Really shaking my head. Yeah, exactly. You know, I would be devastated if my cat died, but I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to take a day to grieve, but I know that the bills need to get paid, and if I've already kind of committed to something, then I'm going to follow through. 7 years, right? Yes, Anthony. Man, dude, you are on fire. Seriously. Yeah, 7 years is the limitation on ACX narrators 50-50 split. I didn't know that. I literally thought it was just a lifetime agreement. And I kind of went by that until Pam Rossi kind of corrected me yesterday, and she was able to kind of explain a little bit more. YouTube got me for that too. Oh, here's a pretty good one. William says, oh, hey, by the way, RA, thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. It's always great getting some questions, and we can really start to talk a little bit more in some of these live streams. It took me about 5 or 6 hours, the narrator, write my book, 11,000 words. I kind of caught a little bit of what you're saying there, William. You might have to kind of expand a little bit. So all in all, guys, we're going to start to wrap up today's stream. I don't know if I covered everything I said I would in the description. I talked about Facebook groups. I talked about getting banned from KDP. I didn't get banned. I didn't get banned. Knock on wood. I don't have wood. Fake wood. All in all, though, I'm going to wrap it up here talking about the American Association of Publishers. In total, there was nearly $1.5 billion in the publishing industry as a whole. There's a lot out there. If you aren't making the money, you need to kind of take a step back and look at what you're doing. What are you doing to kind of push your business forward? And I do that on a regular basis. For instance, I killed Messenger on my phone. I got rid of it. Messenger was eating up a lot of my day. Got rid of Facebook. I got rid of some of the actions and the items that aren't benefiting my business. So you got to start to think to yourself, what do I need to do in order to get that $1.5 billion? That's right, that's 1,500,000,000. Actually, just short of 500,000 or 500 million. 1,500,000,000. Come on, Dale. 1,500,000,000 in sales. Think about what's going to move the needle. Okay? And I don't want you thinking about shotgunning or spraying and praying. Don't ask me what the profitable niche is, guys. You know, I don't want to trash you guys for this, but, you know, all niches are profitable. If you've got the audience, then you got the profits. That really, it's a fact. If I wanted to, for instance, I had 20 years in the healthcare industry. If I wanted to sit down and I was really, really passionate about writing it and doing a full series on it, I could write a book on being an activities director. If you go on Amazon, guarantee you look up anything about activities directors, terrible ranks. But the thing is, I know exactly where the activity directors are at. But sadly, it's not where my passion's at anymore. I don't feel like I want to sit down and write a book about activities. But if there was a person who was out there that was an activities director and networked with other activities directors, and knew where all the conferences were at, then they can be able to make those connections, really establish themselves as the credible authority within their niche. And then we can look at other things like the fiction business. I know I talk a lot about nonfiction because that's my wheelhouse. But I do have some fiction work out there. It is very possible for you to establish yourself as a great fiction writer. Indie Author Day is right around the corner. If any of you have written a book, you better have reached out to your local library to host an author event, an indie author event. It's on, you can look it up at indieauthor.com or indieauthorday.com. It's on October 14th. And get yourself signed up. I signed up for mine. That's over in Pickerington. And hoping I can be able to get in there and do a nice little talk. I'd love to just sit down and talk about self-publishing with people. But get yourself out there. If you want to become successful, if you want that $1.5 billion, you want just even a small, can you imagine just even having 0.1% of that? What would that do for your life if you could be able to just get that much within the next year? Heck, 1%, 10%. Can you imagine 10%? What the heck would you do with 10% of that? I know what I'd do. Buy an island. All joking aside, though, think about it. What can you do to move your needle forward in the business? And that's why I'm able to pump out daily uploads all the time because, guys, there's so much to learn. I don't need to be putting out self-help videos. See some of these other YouTubers that for some reason go from being an expert on self-publishing to all of a sudden they're talking about self-help. No, sorry guys, you ain't going to get that self-help feel-good stuff from me. Go see Tony Robbins. I'm going to tell you about self-publishing so that way you guys can start moving. So any last questions? 10% of 10% is even good. Yes, 10% of 10% is even good. Thanks, man. Thanks, Deb, for the good content. I appreciate it. Yes. Yeah, you are still live. Emeka Osai, man. Emeka buddy, yep. I am starting to wrap up things. I really do appreciate everybody kind of tuning in. And by the way, you guys haven't had a chance. Epic interview. Epic interview. Head over to my boy Emeka Osai. You actually will see him in the chat here. Just click on his name and it'll actually say go to channel. If you click on go to channel, it'll go to Emeka's channel. Subscribe to his channel. If you don't subscribe, at least go to the recent interview with me. We did an hour and 20 minutes. It was an epic interview. And believe it or not, I think we talked for a half hour before and then probably a half hour afterwards. It was over 2 hours that we were on because the two of us are very passionate about this business. And I'm a huge fan of Emeka. So having the opportunity to sit down and just chop it up and talk shop with him was just a pleasure. And he continues to really see why I wear a shirt that says self-publishing nerd on it, which not so today. But, in any event, go over to Emeka's channel, watch that video. It was a lot of fun. If you don't want to sit through an hour and 20 minutes, hit 2x. Watch it in fast speed. Listen to the two of us speak in chipmunk speed. It's tremendous. I know I watched it. Let's do double live stream next couple weeks. Actually, yes, Emeka, I was just talking to my brother a couple days ago, and he actually has a solution for us to run a simulcast, one on your channel, one on my channel. That would be awesome. That would be a lot of fun. It would be an explosion. So in any event, wrapping things up, I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, as per usual, if you like what you saw, share it with at least one other DIY publisher, too. And remember, next Thursday will be the next live stream at 6 p.m. I hope to be sharp that time. I'll be doing this each and every Thursday at 6 p.m. and the live broadcast will render right after we're done and the video will be available afterwards. So you can be able to go back and watch it at your leisure and have a few laughs at me talking about things. I hope over the next week or two, I'm going to go into some screen share things and just instead of just having like the talkathon, but I thought today would be a good story hour day. But we'll go into some screen shares and I want to show you guys how I can take a 10,000 word book and format it in less than 5 minutes. That's right, less than 5 minutes. Mark my word, you watch me. So, give a real quick rundown as we get ready to wrap things up. Tune in on Sundays for Unscripted Sundays. It's going to be pretty much kind of like this where you guys get to hear a little bit about me without having to do anything scripted. I'll cover a lot of questions, comments, concerns. So that's why I always tell you guys, make sure you leave comments and down below. So anytime you see these videos, comment. I do listen. I try to reply. And also, if I don't get to them, I'll hit them over on the live streams. Monday is Week in Review. Always tune into Week in Review because I will tell you the late and breaking news. This past week was an awesome Week in Review. If you didn't get a chance to go back, you get to learn a little bit more about KDP filing arbitration against other publishers. It's crazy. You got to get a little bit more of the inside scoop. Tuesday is what I call Top Tuesday. I'm going to be putting out a lot of my top 10 lists, my big content. And Wednesday is Wacky Wednesday. This is kind of an insider thing. I'll actually be putting some more fun things out. You guys will get a little information, but some of my older subscribers were saying, man, whatever happened to your wacky videos? Okay, I'll give a little bit of humor. So on Wednesday, so this past Wednesday, you guys might have seen bad book covers. You could probably have a few laughs on those and learn a little bit in the process. And it wasn't too obnoxious or overboard. Thursday's live stream. Fridays is going to be interviews with self-publishing people. Tomorrow is going to be Pam Rossi of ACX. You want to tune in for that. Next week, I will be having Dog Dad official Scott J. Marshall II on the show to talk a little bit about him going from one brand over to the next and seeing huge success. And last but not least, every Saturday I will be doing reviews of self-publishing products. You don't want to miss this Saturday's self-publishing review that I'll be doing on Dave Chesson's 5-day Amazon Marketing Services course. Amazing course. Just going to give you guys a spoiler alert. All right. In the meantime and in between time, I really do appreciate it. Once again, tune in next Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Set your clocks according to that. I don't know how long we'll go for, but I really do appreciate it. So, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you guys soon.